So Black Ops 7 has been out for a few days now, and we've got additional data that indicate Black Ops 7's overall performance is far worse than anyone anticipated. So starting with the user score of Black Ops 7, as well as the meta score, which right here in my last video, I marked as generally favorable, 18 Critic reviews, which has a score of 83%, and then an overwhelmingly negative user score of 1.8 from, back then, 725 user ratings. This video was uploaded on November 17th. It is now November 21st. How has that been updated since? Well, now that more Critic reviews have come in, the Metascore for Black Ops 7 has dipped significantly. From 43 Critic reviews, we've got a score now of 69. Nice. Which is significantly lower than the aforementioned 83%. And even the user score has dipped a bit from a 1.8 to now a 1.7, now with significantly more reviews, over 2,500 reviews. So on that front, when it comes to critical reception, Black Ops 7 is already not faring very well. Among the worst reviewed Call of Duty games ever, but when it comes to user score, it is straight up the worst user-reviewed Call of Duty game ever, and it is one of the worst user-reviewed games of all time on Metacritic. Now the contrast between Black Ops 7's reception and Battlefield 6's reception is a lot clearer, with Battlefield 6 having a favorable review score of 83% from 71 Critic reviews, and a user score that's pretty good, sitting at a 7.0 from almost 1,500 user ratings. A few days ago, Black Ops 7's Metascore from Critic reviews was about the same as Battlefield 6's, with both sitting at 83%. But now that more reviews have come in, the picture becomes clearer. Clearly, both fans and critics favor Battlefield 6 significantly more as the first-person shooter to play this fall and winter and during the holidays. And then there's Black Ops 7's concurrent players' performance on Steam. Now this right here relates how many people are engaging with the Call of Duty portal, which encompasses multiple Call of Duty games. But you can see right here an uptick in players when Black Ops 7 launched, but nothing quite like what we've seen before in series past, with Black Ops 7 having peaked at only a little over 100,000 players, which isn't insignificant, but compared to the competition like Battlefield 6 here, which garnered an all-time peak of 747,440 players at its peak, and is still garnering 24-hour peaks of, 232,466 players, hundreds of thousands of players coming back to this game. The difference is pretty stark. And it's also worth mentioning that because this Call of Duty portal encompasses multiple Call of Duty games, the 24-hour peak here of over 79,000 players isn't just Black Ops 7 players, but also players of past Call of Duty entries. So yeah, just looking at those figures, we can surmise that Black Ops 7 is a critical flop, and commercially, while it did still sell millions of copies, the expectations of Activision, Blizzard, and of now Microsoft and Xbox are for the series to grow, not for it to diminish in player numbers. By Call of Duty standards, I'd say, by Call of Duty standards, Black Ops 7 would likely be considered a commercial flop, or, having fallen way below expectations. And now we have another indication of Black Ops 7 being a major commercial disappointment in the form of this article from news outlet The Game Business that relates some statistics from outlet Game Sales Data, which keeps track of digital and physical European sales of video games. And Black Ops 7 was the latest topic of discussion. And you can see right here, the results are not good, with the article starting with the following statement. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 has had a disappointing European launch. Sales are 63% below what Battlefield 6 managed during its debut week in October. And the picture looks even worse when you compare that to how the previous entry, Black Ops 6, performed. Apparently, Black Ops 7 sales compared to Black Ops 6 are down more than 50%. And while this specifically covers the European market, I would imagine that results aren't too different in other regions as well, and in major markets like the US. Now, it's worth highlighting that these figures do not include downloads via subscription services like Xbox Game Pass, which Black Ops 7 launched in, but I guarantee you that even if you added the number of people who played via subscription, it would not account for Black Ops 7 selling 50% less than Black Ops 6. And it would also not account for the fact that Battlefield 6 is dominating, selling 63% above what Black Ops 7 did during its debut week. And another important stat is how many Call of Duty players picked up Battlefield 6, how many Call of Duty players were converted. And it's reported by this article that according to Ampere analysis, over 25% of Call of Duty players in September picked up Battlefield 6 in October. That is a huge percentage. I mean, that's millions of Call of Duty players who were so enticed by what Battlefield 6 presented that they felt the need to pick it up and give it a shot. And I mean, based on the player numbers right now, clearly a lot of them stayed. Well, for me, these results are not particularly shocking for an entity like Activision Blizzard and Microsoft and Xbox who have shareholders to please. These numbers do not look good at all. Call of Duty is kind of like Activision's flagship title, and seeing it fall to this length and to lose out against its competitor Battlefield 6 this hard, that will make for a major disappointment for executives who are trying to appease to shareholders by showing signs of growth. But we're seeing the complete opposite with Call of Duty, specifically with Black Ops 7. And there are multiple factors that contributed to this, starting with just Battlefield 6 overall having been significantly better received than Black Ops 7. Battlefield 6 just had better word of mouth compared to Black Ops 7. Its marketing was better. What they showcased just looks better and more appealing. And then there's the fact that Black Ops 7 engaged in some serious missteps that has made Black Ops 7 a bit of a laughingstock on the internet, like the campaign that I've talked about before, with these kinds of supernatural and just absurd sequences that are not fitting when it comes to what people associate Call of Duty with. You know, it's still very much like a military shooter experience. It is an arcade kind of game, but people still, can't associate this to be something that they would expect out of Call of Duty, whereas Battlefield 6 was very strong in ensuring that the identity of Battlefield and what people love about Battlefield remained intact. And then there's the always online aspect of the campaign that disabled basic features like checkpoints and pausing and ability to idle. And then it added new inconveniences like the ability for your campaign experience to be interrupted by the game pushing updates or by other players who will enter your session and you'll suddenly hear them talking to you. They can just invade your session even if you don't play co-op, even if you're just playing solo. The campaign is such a detriment to Black Ops 7 that recently Treyarch had to pull this move where by the end of the game's campaign, you actually unlock this extraction shooter mode that many people do consider to be fun, but the problem is that to unlock this extraction shooter, you do have to complete the campaign, and that's proven to be too big of a wall and barrier due to the fact that people are not enjoying the campaign and don't want to play 4 to 5 hours of an experience that they don't enjoy in order to unlock the mode. The mode is fun, but it isn't so fun that it makes going through the painful campaign worth it. And so Treyarch recently had to pull this move of separating the endgame extraction shooter mode from the campaign so you don't have to beat the campaign to unlock the extraction shooter mode. And also going viral is the fact that people have managed to get a refund from Steam if they purchase Black Ops 7 through that platform, even after finishing the campaign, as long as you have some kind of good justification. And the justification that this user used was the fact that the game constantly utilized AI-generated options that were not present in the marketing for the game, as well as videos and screenshots of the material, which is actually true. So they got a full refund after beating the campaign, and this went viral as a tip that no doubt a lot of people are going to use if they really dislike Black Ops 7 so much that they want a refund, and if they purchased it on Steam, garnering, almost 90,000 likes and almost 3 million views. And so already people are feeling like Black Ops 7 missed the mark in so many different ways, especially where the campaign is concerned. And now to see that they were so lazy that they used AI artwork for calling cards, posters, reward icons, and more. And they did so blatantly to the point where they just decided to use Ghibli generated art to generate some of these assets, like a lot of people, and not even touch that stuff up. Missing details like the fact that this artwork here has 6 fingers instead of 5, very clearly indicating it's AI generated. It all just feels like added insult to injury, on top of the fact that Activision's statement on the usage of AI tried to claim that it was all to empower and support their teams and to create the best experience possible for players. Except what they did was steal jobs away from artists and gave it to AI that yielded worse results. So it made for a worse product and in turn, a worse experience for players. And now we're even at a point where Black Ops 7's AI controversy has caught the attention of U.S. congressmen such as Ro Khanna here, who is a member of the U.S. House of Representatives from California's 17th District, who's come out on Twitter to publicly condemn Black Ops 7 and talk about the need for regulation when it comes to AI, because right now it is favoring, the tech billionaires rather than actually benefiting society as a whole. And, underneath it all, Black Ops 7 does have a fun multiplayer. It does still have very refined shooting gameplay and all these things, but the formula just doesn't feel evolved enough for it to stand out compared to the likes of Battlefield 6. And there's so many other aspects like the campaign and whatnot, and the AI usage, and you name it, that have soured the taste of this game in people's mouths so much that ultimately, the clear winner this time around is Battlefield. And hopefully this will, kick the developers of Call of Duty in the butt, or, the executives and the leaders and the creative heads who make decisions surrounding Call of Duty in the butt, so that they realize that they are in a competitive landscape, and to compete, they have to do better than this. And, they really have to be considerate of what Call of Duty fans want out of Call of Duty, instead of trying to trend chase and kind of do all these absurd things for the sake of trying to appeal to the Fortnite crowd and whatever. And this is kind of what Call of Duty has to go through so that they know how to make a comeback, similarly to what happened with Battlefield. They tried something with Battlefield 2042, but that was a disaster of a launch, both on a technical level and in terms of direction. People just didn't recognize it as Battlefield. And so that kicked them in the rear and made them go, okay, what do we need to do to get the next release right? And they did with Battlefield 6, and the hope is that Call of Duty does something similar with the next entry. But I suppose only time will tell. In the meantime, though, I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on the current state of Call of Duty Black Ops 7 in the comments below. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.